Welcome to Stalwarts of Transformation. In a sector that is fast evolving from manpower to mission critical, few have shaped the narrative like Rajiv Mathur. A veteran of the private security industry, he has led breakthrough initiatives, elevated standards, and helped put Indian security professionals on the global map. Beyond boardrooms, he is a storyteller and an author, a voice for transformation. Today, we spotlight a leader whose journey mirrors the spirit of PSI, resilient, future-facing, and built to lead. He is currently a partner at MIGS Global Consulting and is also the Regional Advisor Asia for the Outstanding Security Professional Awards. Please welcome Rajiv Mathur ji. अभिवंदन करते हैं आपका सर.
Thank you so much, Swati, for having me on this show and for your kind words while you introduced me. Thank you very much.
Sir, I see you as a security visionary already because of your immense contribution to the PSI. So, over 3 decades, I believe, in the security landscape, how has that shaped your vision for safety and preparedness?
So, I think perhaps the answer to this question is a little different than you generally find people from the security industry giving. So, my connect to security and safety goes while I was in school. My father used to work in the safety department of a large organization, of a large industry. And all of us watching us here remember that there was a gas tragedy in Bhopal.
Yes.
Exactly 1 year and a day after that tragedy, there was a gas leak in Delhi. And my father was in charge of safety and pollution control there, and I was in the school. So I saw the consequences of that, safety lapse in a large industry. So perhaps from there only I understood and I realized and I learned more about safety. That was one. Secondly, during those times, and I'm saying early 80s, in his factory, anybody was not allowed to actually drive in on a two-wheeler without a helmet. So that concept perhaps grew in my mind from early childhood, and then when I got an opportunity to work in this domain, I thought that perhaps I'm seeing it for a long time, and hopefully I would do well there. So that's how I started, and I got into this industry. But yes, 3 decades is definitely a long time, and I think a lot has changed from where I started and now where we are.
Right, sir. And what drew you to the security profession and what has kept you committed all these years? You've been committed to the industry, right? What was that driving force?
So I give you a reason. One, that my introduction to the safety was very early in the age. The second is perhaps somewhere in the corner of my heart, I always wanted to wear a uniform.
Nice.
Which I couldn't. Okay. So I thought this is perhaps an opportunity to work towards the safety, security, and for people and for the nation. That's
the love for the motherland.
Love for the motherland, and I think in last so many years I have interacted with so many people who one point of time wore that uniform. Is that it feels that I'm also a part of the industry which is actually doing something on the national security.
Absolutely. And so your journey across ceasefire, 24 secure, Spasht, CCTV and beyond. So any evolution that you have witnessed in India's security infrastructure?
Oh yes. So actually every phase of my career in the security industry has seen transformation. And I'll start from a ceasefire when I started. It was early 90s, and before that, fire extinguishers meant that that old kind of fire extinguishers which are legacy, and people used to just hang them in their workspaces. So ceasefire brought into that kind of revolution, that smaller fire extinguishers for cars, for residences, and for smaller businesses, and then it changed. And now what we see in fire industry is so I witnessed that change in the fire industry. That was one. Secondly, when I was in the manpower industry, in the guarding industry, we were purely a physical security industry domain in terms of private security. And I think I was a part of one of the really, a technology project or a CCTV installation project in, I think, before 2000, before year 2000. And that was perhaps a change or a revolution in the physical security domain. A guarding company or an industry, very large industry, automotive industry, we installed at that time, I think, a CCTV installation of about 250 cameras. Before 2000. So that was another change that I saw from purely a physical security to slow transformation into technology space. There is very interesting example that I often give when I talk about this transformation is that while doing a physical security for a healthcare facility, and there was a situation where a lot of thefts were happening within that facility. And obviously, technology was expensive. I'm not saying technology is not expensive today, but technology was really expensive as compared to the physical security or manpower at that time. So we installed few housings of the camera in that facility, and believe me, from next day there was zero theft. So that fear of or a deterrence that technology worked from the initial stages is really remarkable, and that's from there to what we see in technology today. I think there is definitely a lot of transformation that has happened.
And so, since you very rightly mentioned the industry has evolved and there has been a transformation, so it is no longer a support function. Am I right? Like security is no longer a support function. So how do you think the private security industry is driving this transformation, the changes that you just spoke of?
So private security industries actually for a long time struggling to get a space in the mainstream businesses. If I have to divide, I would like to divide it into two phases. One, when the PASARA license came in 2005, Private Security Agency Regulation Act came in 2005. That was the first step towards a recognition being given to this industry. That was one. And second, I think during COVID, when everything was shut down, the only department or the only function which was working was private security. So I think that is another change. So COVID gave a much or a long pending respect to this industry.
It became an essential service.
So private security did security, they did safety, they did logistics, they did healthcare, they also did HR, etc. The transportation, everything, all the functions were controlled or actually managed by security. And I think perhaps only after that, and I feel, and I think my colleagues from the industry would agree that after COVID, the head of security or a CSO is now having a seat in the boardroom. Yes. And that's another big transformation that has happened.
Right. And so do you see that PSI is shaping the future of security in India? Any comments on that?
Oh, definitely it is. So actually, I would like to extend the answer to your last question. So first phase was 2005, PASARA, second was COVID, and now. And there is a lot of technologies being used.
Absolutely.
Now, earlier it was either head of HR, head of admin who used to look after security. But then there came Chief Security Officer, CSO. But now there is CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, Chief Information Officer, Chief Risk Officer. Now there is further specialization and the industry is evolving. One of the major reasons of this further expansion of the security industry is perhaps use, implementation and the evolving technology that we see in this domain. So yes, I think we have a long way to go, and in last 3-4 decades, it has definitely changed I would say 180 degrees, perhaps it will go 360 degrees further.
And what does the spirit of PSI mean to you? The spirit of the private security industry.
Uh, Spirit, the strength is larger than the spirit, but the spirit to serve the nation, to work with the state agencies hand in glove, to work shoulder to shoulder with them, I think is driving the PSI. And like in other countries that where PSI works very closely with all the state agencies, we are not very far away. That we are already doing. I think private security industry is already looking after some of the critical installations,
Yes.
important assets of the of the country. But going forward, it's going to go. It's going to increase. It's going to have higher, deeper responsibilities in national security. So the spirit is getting higher and higher.
And are there any changes that you are excited about going forward within the PSI?
Yes, of course. I think many of the associations, bodies like CAPC are really giving it a different altitude to the PSI. CAPC is doing a wonderful job, and this initiative of security, citizen security TV, and talking to people like myself is definitely a good initiative. So that at least we are getting a recognition. People are really understanding that private security is if not more, it is also no less than people in uniform, but with all due respect to what they do. But I think PSI is also doing its good share in terms of securing the life and property and happiness of the people.
Absolutely, sir. And sir, now coming on to your journey, you've led like 17,000 people, a team of 17,000 people. You've been at the zenith of your career. So, can you just tell me what defines your leadership style? How do you manage that kind of a role, or how have you done that in the past?
I think when you're talking about just managing such large number of people, it's more that it's more of an HR-oriented thought process that you have to bring in.
People first.
People
approach.
first. And while you are in security, you are talking about 24/7.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think while I was actually heading the operations of a large guarding organization, I used to work 24/7 with the team, with the people, and I have done like the night routines, the night shifts, and I've received calls at 2 a.m. and been on the field at 4 a.m. etc. etc. So if you actually work along with the team, then it's easier. That's what my philosophy is. There is a story जो हम बचपन में पढ़ते थे कि दो भाई थे और उनका खेतों का बंटवारा हुआ तो एक का खेत बहुत अच्छे से बढ़ गया and the other नहीं बढ़ा तो the difference after a few years then they checked what the difference is. तो जिसका खेत अच्छे से नहीं आता था तो वो हमेशा अपने लोगों को कहता था जाओ काम करो, और जिसका खेत अच्छे से बढ़ा प्रोडक्टिविटी उसमें अच्छी हुई वो हमेशा कहता था आओ काम करें. So I believe in आओ काम करें philosophy, and that has perhaps helped me in not only in the large manpower industry but even otherwise.
And the industry already views you as a transformation catalyst. So your role has evolved from being an operations specialist to being someone who has transformed the industry. So would you like to share any experiences there? When did that realization happen that now I'm meant for bigger roles, I can make that change, cause a change in mindset, that fire that got rekindled within you? Would you like to speak on that?
Yes, good question. And it's, I think there are again two parts to this question.
We're all ears, sir.
Thank you for this opportunity, and मुझे बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है कि मैं खुल के इस बारे में बात करना चाह रहा हूँ. So, two parts. One is an experience that I want to share with you. I've also held. I was also a part of two startups.
Nice.
And I would say one kind of a failed startup and the other is a successful startup. But why fail was something that I wanted to try about 12 years ago.
Okay.
And this was an emergency response service.
Okay.
That's, I thought the promoters thought that, people who were in emergency, like the SOS button, which we see everywhere today, they can reach out to the emergency response team. The team would reach to them in few minutes and manage the crisis. Kind of a stopgap, till the time the state agencies come in. But theoretically, I knew that emergency has no definition. But when we learned the kind of examples of emergency cases that we used to get were phenomenally strange.
Mm-hmm.
People saying that there's a lot of noise in the neighborhood. My son has a board exam. He used to call. I'm hungry at 2:00 at night. Give me, एक दर्जन अंडा ला के दे दो, etc. My kid is hungry. Get me a liter of milk. So उस टाइम पे दो चीजें हुई. One, we thought, no, we are a security emergency response organization. This is not an emergency. I mean, if you're hungry, it's your. But we did not realize that that's the requirement of the customer at that time, and there were no. And we thought we are not a concierge service, and there were no food delivery. There was no, repair at home. There were nothing of that sort exist. So two things: we did not address the requirements of the customer, and we were perhaps too early. So it didn't take off. So that is one example. Mm-hmm. The second example of the startup is not very long ago. It was during the COVID. And during the COVID,
and the first one was which year, sir? The one
12 years ago, 2013.
2013, right.
Much before all these home deliveries,
right?
Food delivery.
Yeah, the Blinkits and the
Yeah. There was no Swiggy, there was no Zomato, there was no Zepto, there was no Urban Company, there was nothing, and people thought that that this is an emergency. Now, I mean, for a popcorn packet, we have a phone.
We have an app, and that caters to our needs. So
yes.
In 2020, you were saying, sir.
And in 2020, we thought that when everything can go, can be delivered at home. So now, while I'm talking to, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये ट्रांजिशन था कि जब हम सोच रहे थे कि इट्स ओनली एन इमरजेंसी जो घर पे जाएगा, और हमने सोचा है कि
इमरजेंसी बन चुकी है.
जब सब कुछ घर पे जा रहा है तो पेट्रोल क्यों नहीं आ रहा है?
Oh yes, of course.
And this was peak of COVID, and then the second startup came, and that was doorstep delivery of diesel. Of course, petrol is a highly inflammable product. There are restrictions, but diesel is used in many such things or many such equipments and machines which cannot go to the petrol. So that was the second startup, and of course it's doing well. It's been funded, etc. So two startups, and I would say, to connect to your questions, that these were two transformations from a routine, gate guns and guards to an emergency response, and from a regular security profession to saying that, okay, with all the safety and security,
a transformation catalyst.
Let's deliver something that people need. So I think transformation is part of every business and every industry. But सिक्योरिटी में शायद 30-35-40 सालों में सबसे ज्यादा देखी है.
अगर सर आपको किसी लीडर को मेंटोर करना हो, आप खुद एक इतने बड़े लीडर हैं, अगर आपको किसी को मेंटोर करना हो तो कौन सी क्वालिटीज आप उनमें कल्टीवेट करने के बारे में सोचेंगे या करते हैं? बिकॉज आई नो यू टीच एज वेल, you have a different side to your the entire professional life that you've built for yourself. Now you're also sharing knowledge. So what kind of skills would you like to, or do you want to cultivate in future leaders, irrespective of the field that they choose?
So बहुत अच्छा सवाल है ये भी आपका. और बहुत सारे जो ट्रांसफॉर्मेशंस मैंने अपने आप में डिस्कवर किए वो बहुत रिसेंट है. चाहे मैंने I've interviewed so many people in one of the in a YouTube channel that I have.
Right.
And in one of the interview, I was speaking to a very very senior professional, not from the security industry. And she said that to work more efficiently with more productivity, one should have 3 hobbies which are out of work. One should be an intellectual hobby, one should be a creative hobby, and one should be a physical hobby. Yoga, running, walking, drawing, music, painting, which you do or pursue every day, you come back to your work more energized.
That recharges your spirit.
It recharges your spirit, and I learned it, and I realized that how true is that.
Right.
And perhaps knowingly or unknowingly, मैं शायद बहुत सालों से ऐसा करते आ रहा था. Whether it is music, whether it is photography, whether it is making YouTube, videos. Then I realized कि ये इसलिए अच्छा, or being into sports. And this is my whenever I get an opportunity to mentor a youngster, and I say that apart from work, these are few things that you should mentor. You should cultivate. You should practice, so that when you come back to your work, you are more energized, more refreshed, and of course you pursue your hobby. और उसमें और कुछ अच्छा करने को, जानने को मौका.
और सर, कोई ऐसा लीडरशिप लेसन है जो आपके लिए फाउंडेशनल हुआ हो? ये क्राइसिस में भी हो सकता है, इन योर रूटीन आल्सो दैट कैन हैपन. एनीथिंग दैट हैज लेड द फाउंडेशन टू द पर्सन दैट यू हैव बिकम टुडे. एनीथिंग यू कैन थिंक थ्रू एंड टेक एज मच टाइम एज यू लाइक, बट हमारे लाइफ में एक्सपीरियंसेस ऐसे होते हैं दैट बिकम द फाउंडेशन ऑफ something big.
So this is one statement or one line that I heard. So it was very early in my career, and I was being interviewed for a promotion in the organization that I was working in. So I was due for a promotion, and I was being interviewed by a very senior executive of that organization, which we used to call, we were very fearful of that person. So उनके सामने एक इंटरव्यू बैठ के देना ना, अर्ली स्टेज ऑफ योर करियर, थोड़ा घबराहट होती थी. So he was asking me why you should become a branch manager. I said, if I become a branch manager, I'll do this and do that. So he made one statement which I have never forgotten and always used in my life. He said, if you want to become a manager tomorrow, start working like it today. You cannot become a manager and start working like a manager. You become a manager then take that. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि कोई भी काम जो आप करने के लिए आगे तैयार होने वाले हैं, वो आपको अभी करना चाहिए, so that from day one you are in action.
Is it like dress for the job you want? That's how it is.
Yeah. So I mean, get ready. So मैं जब भी whenever I get the opportunity to speak to youngsters, even my kids, कि आपको वो काम करना आना चाहिए, then before you actually take up. So
practice it in your life.
In exactly these very words. If you want to become a manager tomorrow, start acting like one.
Right. And sir, transformative journeys जो होती हैं वो resilience और reinvention पे based होती हैं. आपकी corporate life में कुछ highs और lows है जो आप बताना चाहते हैं that you want our viewers to know?
हाँ, जरूर है. मुझे लगता है हर एक की लाइफ में होता है. और so मैंने as a security professional, I have worked in the fire industry. I have worked in the man guarding industry. I have worked in the emergency response. I have worked in the technology space.
Absolutely.
I have delivered diesel at the doorstep. And now I am in the consulting. So बहुत बार you come to a phase where you feel कि आगे अभी क्या करना है, अब ये सब तो मैंने शायद कर लिया, what do I do next? So there were days when I used to think कि I'm done now. Perhaps so early in life I had the opportunity to held a very senior positions very early in life. Then I used to think that okay, so I'm not even 40 and I'm heading such a large. अभी क्या? So वो कभी-कभी जब आप लो पे आते हैं, then you then you think of a transformation. Then you want to do something. और जब आप अचानक से वो jump करके दूसरी जगह पे आते हैं, then that's a different life. So I think change is something that brings newness to what you do.
That is the kind of mindset you have. Embrace change.
I think yes. Yeah. So as I said, multiple industries within the private security. It gives you a lot of new things to do.
And sir, सिक्योरिटी में आपने बहुत सारी इनोवेशंस की बात करी है. प्राइवेट सिक्योरिटी में कोई ऐसी इनोवेशन है जिसके बारे में आप हमें बताना चाहते हैं?
See, the world is talking about AI.
Yes.
And I've given you an example. It was before the year 2000 when basic analog camera installation was rocket science. As far as the security industry is concerned. Now we are talking about surveillance cameras which use AI.
Yes.
I think the rate of innovation or the rate of change because of the technology today is much faster than it was 25-30 years ago. So the technology is changing. The technology is bringing lot of changes within the security industry today.
And private security industry is of course labor intensive. So do you see a change in future? Is AI going to help the scenario or is it going to replace? I ask this question from most leaders. I want to know your thoughts as well.
No.
How do you see AI as a change or as a threat?
As a support. As a support. It cannot replace. In security, definitely no. Because in security, you need a response.
Right.
And when you need a response, you need human intervention. You either from a camera, from an AI, from a chatbot. In fact, sometimes I feel actually a little frustrated when you do not see a human intervention. For example, I wanted to go for a basic health checkup. And I wanted to fix up a date, and there was nobody to answer a query to me. And the most humorous part is that when I got the reports of those tests, they are all wrong because there's somebody else about 15 years elder to me. Those reports are, I do not know who to speak to. And when I write to them or text them, they say we understand your emergency. We'll get back to you in 1 week's time.
Automated kind of response, not human.
We understand your emergency. We'll get back to you in 1 week's time. Irony. And they understand the emergency, but एक हफ्ता लगेगा. So मुझे लगता है, especially in such roles where human intervention, response is
human intervention is
mandatory. So AI is going to support private security, all technology. They're always going to support. Another example is we generally hear during the CAPC interactions the number of people working in the security industry from 10 lakhs to I think we're talking about 1 crore today.
Yes.
10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs. So technology is always growing along with manpower.
Yes.
So no, the private security industry will always remain heavily dependent on this.
And so security is a global concern, and you've been instrumental in raising that kind of a bar. You brought it on an international map. So tell us about bringing OSPAs, the Outstanding Security, Performance Awards, to India. Just let us know how did it all happen, sir?
Oh wow! I think this is my most favorite question. Outstanding Security Performance Award is a UK-based award and one of its kind. And the promoter, Professor Martin Gill, is a long-time friend. And when I heard about this award, I thought this is so. Most of the awards, even if they are global, they come to India and they bring international awards to India. OSPAs take private security industry in any country. So let's talk about India. Private security industry, Indian private security industry to a global platform. It's it's opposite. So 10 years ago, when he started, and I said I would definitely want to become a part of it, so we had the first OSPAs which we wanted to conduct was 15th of March 2020.
Okay.
1 week before the lockdown of the COVID.
Yes.
So that was the date we decided we worked upon. But now it has really, it has become a global OSPA. So the concept is that every country, wherever this award, is conducted or celebrated, so to say, the parameters are same, the judging criteria is same, the questionnaire is same, etc. So from each country, the winners of each country compete for the first time in 2025, compete in the respective categories. And I'm extremely proud, extremely glad to say that we now have a global winner in the Women Security Professional of the Year, who is now the best in the world and the first time ever in 47 countries.
Amazing.
So that's some kind of an achievement.
That's a milestone, a significant milestone for the industry.
For the industry, the Indian security industry is recognized at the global.
Absolutely.
It's not a global award in India. It's an Indian industry. So, I really feel very happy, very proud, very glad when I talk about OSPAs. And thanks to Professor Martin Gill, I'm sure he is going to see this video. A wonderful initiative that you have done. Thank you for bringing it to India and to South Asia and to South Asian countries.
And Rajiv ji, ये बताइए कि इंडिया के लिए ग्लोबल सिक्योरिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स को अडैप्ट करना आपको क्या लगता है, आप कितना इम्पोर्टेंट है, कंसिडरिंग कि अब हम ग्लोबल मैप में हैं, हमारे प्रोफेशनल्स को रिकॉग्नाइज किया जा रहा है, तो एज ए कंट्री हमें क्या अडैप्टेशन करनी चाहिए टू इम्प्रूव आवर स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑफ सिक्योरिटी ऑन अ ग्लोबल स्केल?
2005 में मुझे पहली बार ऐसा मौका मिला कि मैं किसी सिक्योरिटी कॉन्फ्रेंस के लिए विदेश जाऊं. I went to UK and there I saw that perhaps 2005 our industry was maybe about 20 years behind what the global security industry was. इसमें दो चीजें थी. One was the minimal use of technology that we were doing, and secondly the involvement of women workforce. और तब से मेरे को एक ऐसी धारणा है, और मैं अक्सर पब्लिक फोरम में भी ऐसा बोलता हूँ, that perhaps security is the only domain where we highlight women in security. We have these panel discussions saying role of women in security, etc., etc. And I believe, because that's what I saw there, because there were equal number of women and men in that exhibition, that conference, and I believe that the day we stop having this panel discussion on the subject of women in security, the role of women in security in India, we will be at the global level. That's one. Second is, those 20-22 years ago, we had minimal use of technology in security. Now I think we are at par, and I think every technology is kind of available in India because it's a global market now. But its use has to increase. Its implementation, its application has to increase to actually come to the.
Any other suggestions you have to make our country shine on the global stage other than these awards? Anything else that you think can make us shine? Or any suggestions will also do?
I think we are already shining. A lot of private security companies from India are very well established in various parts of the globe and doing extremely well.
Right.
So I think we are already on the global map. And so awards is one, but I think many of the organizations in India are there everywhere.
आइए अब हम आपको बताते हैं कि राजीव माथुर जी ने एक बहुत ही स्पेशल बुक लिखी है जो कि 24 लोगों की माइक्रो बायोग्राफी है। ये सारे के सारे प्राइवेट सिक्योरिटी प्रोफेशनल्स हैं। सो सर, दिस कैप्चर्स द स्टॉलवर्ट्स ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री, राइट? एंड that was a time when you manifested yourself as a writer also, as a storyteller also. तो सेक्टर के मोराल के लिए ऐसी स्टोरीज क्या रोल प्ले करती हैं? ये जो आपने इतनी खूबसूरत किताब लिखी है जिसमें सबके बारे में, उनके बारे में जानने का सबको मौका मिलता है, तो कुछ बताइए इसके बारे में, इस बुक के बारे में।
अगेन अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन। तो इस किताब की जर्नी की एक स्टोरी है। मेरे मैं अक्सर ऐसी बात करता हूँ कि आई एम अ एक्सीडेंटल ऑथर। मैंने अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बोला कि वो मेडिकल टेस्ट कराने गए और एक एग्जांपल दिया, तो थोड़ा रेगुलर फीचर होता है, वंस इन अ ईयर। सो कुछ साल पहले आई वेंट फॉर अ मेडिकल चेकअप, तो उसमें मेरे सारे जो पैरामीटर्स थे वो सब हिले हुए आए। एंड सो आई वेंट टू द डॉक्टर एंड आई सेड ये सब गड़बड़ है, व्हाट डू आई डू? तो डॉक्टर ने कहा either you change your lifestyle or start this medicine. I thought, how much time can you give me without the medicine? Take your time, 3 months, 6 months. So just to change the lifestyle and get more to fitness, I started running.
Okay.
Simultaneously, क्या हुआ that my daughter, who's a avid reader, took me to the World Book Fair. जब हम वर्ल्ड बुक फेयर में गए, उन्होंने अपने लिए जितनी किताबें खरीदी वो खरीदी, और she picked up few books for me as well कि आपको ये पढ़नी चाहिए। तो पहले पढ़ना कभी आदत नहीं थी। So 2 things happened. I started into fitness. I started running at age more than 50. मैं ऐसा बोलता हूँ that I am only 40, but still I started running after 50. So I started running, I started reading. So जब ये दो चीज का combination हुआ, then I got a book in my hand called The Running Effect. तो उस किताब में लिखा था that successful people do 3 things. They read, they run, and they write. मुझे लगा कि अब इतनी सारी लाइफ चली गई तो I should be successful. So I thought of writing.
Okay.
तो मैं क्या लिखूं? During COVID, मेरा एक YouTube चैनल मैंने लॉन्च किया था जिसका नाम है जाने अनजाने विद राजीव माथुर। तो जाने माने लोगों की अनजानी बातें, that's how what it means. So मुझे लगा कि वहां पे सीजन 1 में I interviewed 24 stalwarts of the security industry and उन जाने माने लोगों की अनजानी बातें उस YouTube चैनल में थी। ये सबसे अच्छा तरीका है बुक में कन्वर्ट करने का, तो उसको बुक में कन्वर्ट किया। सो द गुड थिंग इज दैट ऑल दो स्टार्टर्स ऑफ द इंडस्ट्री जिनको हम हमेशा यूनिफॉर्म्स में देखते हैं, सीरियस थोड़ा सा सीरियस प्रोफेशन है, एज लॉन्ग एज वी आर टॉकिंग बिजनेस। लेकिन जब उनके बारे में आप अदरवाइज जानिए कि when they are not wearing the security hat, what do they do? So उस चैनल में और इस बुक में ऐसी कई बातें हैं जो हैरान करती हैं आपको। कोई one of the readers says कि मुझे भजिया तलना अच्छा लगता है, कोई बोलता है मुझे कंचे खेलना अच्छा लगता है, कोई बोलता है कि मुझे अल्ट्रा मैराथन भागना चाहिए, which you can never think, imagine, learn about people. तो मुझे इसमें बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिलता है कि एक्चुअली जो आप इतना अच्छा काम एज अ सिक्योरिटी प्रोफेशन कर रहे हैं, आप बाकी सारी चीजें भी इतनी अच्छी कर रहे हैं। तो जब मैं वापस उसको कनेक्ट करता हूँ दैट यू शुड हैव 3 हॉबीज व्हिच आर आउटसाइड ऑफ योर वर्क, मुझे लगा कि ये सब उन हॉबीज को फॉलो करते हैं, सब ट्रेड्स को फॉलो करते हैं। तो मेरे को इससे बहुत इंस्पिरेशन मिला। और आई थिंक not to promote the book, but I think all the youngsters must read this book to know about the tallest leaders of the industry, how they otherwise are, how their journey has been, how did they reach from where they were to where they are today. Very interesting learnings for me, for sure.
एंड सर वहां रुके नहीं, मैं आपको बताना चाहूंगी इनकी एक और बहुत खूबसूरत किताब है. हिज बुक इज 1000 days. इट इज नॉट जस्ट अ बेस्ट सेलर, इट इज एक्चुअली डीपली पर्सनल. सो सर, व्हाट कंपेल्ड यू टू राइट सच अ वल्नरेबल स्टोरी? थोड़ा इसके बारे में भी बताइए.
सो जब आप यू गेट इनटू राइटिंग तो आपको मन करता है कि आप और लिखें. तो बेसिक डिफरेंस इन दोनों बुक्स में जो है, यू नो, लाइक यू आस्किंग, तो डिफरेंस मैं बताना चाहता हूँ. तो मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि जो पहली बुक है वो 24 लोगों ने लिखी है, और जो दूसरी बुक है वो मैंने लिखी है. The full name is 1000 Days, A Story of a Minute.
Yes.
तो आप शायद आप पढ़ें तो इससे जरूर सब लोग कनेक्ट कर पाएंगे, क्योंकि ये बहुत ही पर्सनल स्टोरी है, जैसा आपने कहा. सो इट्स अ स्टोरी of a father and a son, and I play both the roles in that book. So, but it talks about relationship, it talks about friendship, it talks about kindness, it talks about hope, it talks about miracles,
Relations.
और ये इस स्टोरी में थोड़ा सा पीरियड वो भी है जब हम पैंडेमिक से गुजर रहे थे, द एंटायर वर्ल्ड. सो शायद जो लोग इसमें पढ़े उसको कनेक्ट कर पाए. और मेरे लिए ये बुक अपने आप में ना बहुत ही ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव डिस्कवरी है. एंड आई रियलाइज्ड एंड आई लर्न, एंड मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस बहुत बदला. मैंने आई स्टार्टेड सीइंग people thinking about, I completely stopped judging people completely. That's it. And I must admit this in the camera. तो अब जब मैं कभी दूसरे के बारे में सोचता हूँ कि उसने ऐसा क्यों कहा, क्यों सोचा, क्यों करा, then I try to put myself in his or her shoes. Then I realize कि उनके लिए तो ये ठीक ही था. It was perfect. So I also realized कि nobody does wrong from his or her side. So I am never wrong. That's the concept. I am never wrong, because if I think that I am wrong, I will not do. So जो वो ऐसा कर रहा है, कह रहा है, सोच रहा है, लिख रहा है, बोल रहा है, वो ठीक है.
Don't judge.
तो ये मेरा बहुत बड़ा ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है इस किताब से. और I want to kind of share on the camera that I'm now this book is also kind of a movie material, and perhaps ऐसा शायद हो कि इस पे एक मूवी बन जाए. तो मैं उसको इसका हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन कर रहा हूँ, और मैं जब धीरे धीरे एक चैप्टर के बारे में लिख रहा हूँ तो मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है that it's a different story that I'm writing. Although it is a translation, but इस किताब में this book is about people.
Right.
जहाँ उनके बारे में भी कुछ लिखने की कोशिश करी है. तो जहाँ मुझे लग रहा है कि जब उन्होंने जो जैसा किया वो ठीक ही था. So हिंदी बुक जब भी आएगी, मेरा टारगेट है कि इस साल में आ जाए, तो वो ट्रांसलेशन नहीं है इसका, वो एक अलग तरह की जर्नी आ रही है, which is also inspired by what people who from the film industry advise me, but still for me it's also a great learning.
And sir, because our show is Stalwarts of Transformation, and PSI is actually transforming the future of security in India. What role do you think a voice like yours will play or is playing to cause that change, to make that transformation? And this is coming, your views are very important on this, because you are our stalwart for today, and we really need to know that.
Thank you so much. That's a big statement, and really kind of you. So a lot of my learning these days is from a lot of books. And I think मुझे ऐसा लगता है that the transformation has to be it's actually about people, the business, the life, everything that we do is about people. So you cannot accomplish anything which is in isolation.
Right.
So if you are doing with team, with people, with family, with friends, वो चीज में ज्यादा सक्सेस होने वाली है. ये मेरा लेटेस्ट बिलीव है. And so many of the books are teaching me this, and I've realized and experienced as well. There is another aspect that I'm realizing and learning these days, and I think most of the world is learning that our dependency on electronic gadgets, whether it is social media or whether it is the laptops, computers, etc., iPhones, is taking a lot of our time and productivity and mind. I want to confess, proudly share perhaps, that I am trying to minimize these things. This is a very recent transformation that I'm learning. There are weekends where I don't touch my phone. No gadget day. So मुझे ऐसा लगता है उसमें आप सेल्फ डिस्कवरी करते हैं, उसमें आप doing nothing is very difficult. Doing nothing is very difficult. So कभी-कभी doing nothing करना चाहिए. उसमें आप realize करते हैं कि आपको किन-किन के साथ काम करना चाहिए. Collaborate करना चाहिए और that brings you more success, that brings you more happiness, that brings you more productivity, that brings you more intelligence, that brings you coordination and better performance.
Amazing. So सर के साथ बात करते करते ये रियलाइज तो हमें होता ही है कि कोई भी स्टॉलवर्ट सेल्फ डिस्कवरी उसके लिए बहुत जरूरी है. सर की सेल्फ डिस्कवरी उनकी राइटिंग जर्नी से हो रही है. ही स्टार्टेड दिस जर्नी couple of years ago. तो अब हम इस टॉक शो को खत्म करना चाहते हैं. हालांकि मैं नहीं चाहती कि ये कॉन्वर्सेशंस कभी खत्म हो, बट थैंक यू सो मच राजीव जी फॉर कीपिंग अप विद अस एंड फॉर सच अ वंडरफुल कॉन्वर्सेशन. एंड बने रहिए हमारे साथ. हम आपके पास एक अगले नए स्टॉलवर्ट को लेकर आएंगे बहुत ही जल्दी. तब तक के लिए अलविदा.
Thank you so much.